Ukraine's Ministry of Defense has released a video showing Ukrainian soldiers using HIMARS, the U.S. long-range rocket system. This weapon is considered suitable for repelling Russian troops in the Donbas. As part of the United States security assistance to Ukraine, M142 HIMARS multiple rocket launchers are already in operation on the front lines. Ukrinform cites Valery Zaluzhny, Chief of Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, as saying this. Multiple launch rocket systems M142 HIMARS are already at work on Ukraine's defense. The commander-in-chief wrote on Telegram that artillerymen of the armed forces of Ukraine accurately hit certain targets, military targets of the enemy on Ukrainian territory. The first ever documented fire mission by American-donated high-mobility artillery rocket system, or HIMARS, comes as Ukrainian troops finally pull back from the ruins of Severodonetsk, an industrial city with a pre-war population of 100,000 that was the last major free settlement east of the Donetsk River in eastern Ukraine's Donbas region before Kyiv ordered the retreat. The attritional battle rages on in Donbas. Ukrainian forces are reconsolidating Lysychansk, Severodonetsk's sister city on the west bank of the Donetsk River. Russia's advantage in heavy artillery so far has been the decisive factor in the Donbas campaign. Ukraine's growing HIMARS arsenal could blunt that advantage. HIMARS is a 6-round, truck-mounted launcher for 220mm rockets. Depending on the model, the rockets can carry up to 200 pounds of explosives and travel up to 44 miles. Certain rocket models feature GPS navigation. HIMARS is the ideal, counter-battery, system because it is quick-firing, highly mobile, and has a greater range than most Russian artillery. That is, artillery designed specifically to destroy other artillery, to fight back against Russian guns and halt the Russian army's advance in Donbas. An unnamed U.S. Defense Department official told reporters, the HIMARS enable standoff distance, and with the munitions we're providing, they also offer incredible precision. Therefore, this is not about volume. It's about precise targeting, you know. The administration of U.S. President Joe Biden pledged the first 4 HIMARS to Ukraine's war effort back in early June. Training for the initial cadre of Ukrainian crews, which took place in an unspecified country adjacent to Ukraine, was swift. Deployment was equally swift. On Thursday, Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov announced the HIMARS' arrival in Ukraine. Summer will be hot for Russian occupiers, he tweeted. And the last one for some of them. A day later, video circulated online depicting the Ukrainian HIMARS firing rockets at night, presumably somewhere in or near Donbas. To fight back against the Russian army's many hundreds of deployed heavy guns, Ukraine needs many more artillery systems, Reznikov stressed. When the circumstances on the battlefield are changing, the needs are increasing, too, he stated. The Russian military captured 2 villages in eastern Ukraine on Thursday, and is fighting for control of a key highway in a campaign to cut supply lines and encircle frontline Ukrainian forces, according to British and Ukrainian military officials. Russian troops have been bombarding the city of Severodonetsk for weeks with artillery and air raids, and fought the Ukrainian army house to house. The HIMARS gives Ukraine the ability to strike Russian forces and weapons from further away. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has officially thanked U.S. President Joe Biden and the people of the United States for a new $450 million security assistance package that will give his army more M142 high-mobility artillery rocket system. We're grateful to U.S. President Joe Biden and the American people for the decision to provide another $450 million defense aid package to Ukraine. This support, including additional HIMARS, is now more important than ever. By joint efforts, we will free Ukrainian land from the Russian aggressor. Zelensky wrote on Twitter. The aid is part of the $40 billion in security and economic assistance passed last month by Congress and signed into law by President Joe Biden. Overall, since the war began in late February, the U.S. has committed more than $6 billion in security assistance to Ukraine, including this latest package. According to the news reports, the latest $450 million will be from Drawdown Authority, which means the Defense Department will take weapons and equipment from its own stock and ship them to Ukraine. The Pentagon's policy was to send 4 HIMARS at first, then wait and see. This initial tranche is going to help get the Ukrainians familiarized with the system and will provide us with information on how they're using the system and how effective it is on the battlefield, an unnamed U.S. Defense Department official told reporters on June 15. And it's that information, in combination with continued consultations with the Ukrainians, that will inform future decisions on additional systems. The U.S. Army and U.S. Marine Corps between them possess 400 or so HIMARS, and Lockheed Martin builds around 30 new launchers every year. The United States could transfer a lot more HIMARS to Ukraine without significantly degrading America's own counter-battery capability. It is worth noting that M142 HIMARS system allows for the launching of multiple, precision-guided rockets. It uses the same controls, communications and crew as the old M270 launcher, while speeding preparation time to an impressive 15 minutes for mission readiness from the moment it lands. HIMARS can fire guided multiple launch rocket system, GMLRS, rockets, Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, missiles, the Next Generation Precision Strike Missile, PRSM, and extended-range GMLRS rockets. The reason the Ukrainians were so vocal in their efforts to get these systems was to reach positions far further behind Russian lines than the guns they presently have. Some of the many versions of HIMARS rockets have ranges of up to 300 kilometers. The Americans are very conscious of the messages that any long-range system sends, especially the HIMARS, and are reluctant to provide very long-range ammunition. Accordingly, Ukraine will not be getting the Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, with ranges up to 190 miles, which might tempt Ukrainian army commanders to go after supply bases or headquarters in Russia itself. The degree of Russian displeasure at this possibility was recently indicated by the first cruise missile strikes on Kiev for 5 weeks, accompanied by threats from Vladimir Putin to the effect that there would be more of the same if such supplies continued. The M30 and M31 rockets the Ukrainians are likely to be given to fire from the HIMARS and MLRS have shorter but still considerable ranges, in excess of 40 miles. This makes the HIMARS a very formidable addition to their armory.